From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LALATE with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. Live from Santa Monica, and the latest details from Washington passed a $3.5 trillion recon passing a budget subcommittee. Those incredible details, all those clusters of checks covered in this video. The first, second, and third clusters pass. I'll go over all the incredible money for seniors, workers, and individuals passed in that recon. Then we'll go over all the dramatics of what unfolded over the weekend for that reconciliation negotiations. I'll go over what the White House said and what the progressives said. Then we'll be cutting to the big surprise that no one saw coming, as now this channel has taken a pivotal situation and a critical part of the recon passage. Now, equation to get the recon over the finish line. I'll go over all the incredible details in this recording. We'll go over to third stimulus that has additional cash infusion going out to your cities, counties, and states. We'll be cutting back over to what's going on this week for the recon negotiations, what happened last week, as the progressives and the recon got 3 wins for blocking the roads and bridges. And then, of course, the story that everyone's talking about. And what is it? As this channel, you, myself, and these recordings have now become a critical ingredient to getting your recon passed. So says the top aide to the #1 progressive for your recon. I have all the incredible details and that exclusive coming up, because the toast is toasting, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here, and it's time for Mornings LALATE. Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day. It warmed up here in Southern California. Hope the weather is good where you are. Jump in the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from. In this recording, we'll go over all the incredible news about your fourth stimulus check update 2021 as the recon passes. A House Budget Committee passes your $3.5 trillion recon. But now, a big shocker, an exclusive, as this channel is now part of the equation to getting the recon passed. I'll explain to you what a top aide from the #1 progressive in the House and the Senate now says about you and the advocacy of this channel and these recordings. It's big. Then we'll go over all these incredible clusters of checks passed. Checks for seniors, workers, individuals, hazard pay, cars, bikes, for workers and for home repairs and even college students. We'll be cutting over also to the big exciting details of that cash infusion for third stimulus. And then I'll explain to you why the recon is in a better position than ever before, and why nothing is coming out of the recon during these negotiations this week. I'll explain all those details and more. So with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record, and this is LALATE. I want you part of this incredible family. Like the video and consider becoming a member. About a week ago, a $3.5 trillion recon passed a House Budget Subcommittee on a Saturday night. I covered the details and all the checks that passed that evening. After that event that evening, no broadcast channel covered the news. They've never covered it ever since. Print media never covered it. YouTube channels don't even know it occurred. This is why this channel's different. Throughout all last week, I've delivered you all the breaking news of every twist and turn. I'm going to have more about what happened yesterday, what happened on Saturday, and everything that's anticipated and slated for this week as well. You're not going to see this breadth of reporting anywhere else. So subscribe, like the video. Let's get right to these 3 clusters of checks. I'm going to go over the first cluster pass, second cluster pass, third cluster pass. We'll go over that IRS monthly stimulus check that 1,000 viewers have been told is going in there, and we're given reassurances also last week. We'll go over that big exclusive unfolding. Then we'll go over what's going on with the recon last week, this weekend, and this coming week. And then we'll be cutting over the third stimulus in a blink of an eye. Let's cut to the first cluster of checks passed, and these are huge. Hazard pay, checks for seniors, young children, $51,000 of MSCs, home repairs, money for bikes, cars, and trucks, and college students. Let's get to that first cluster of checks passed right now. Hazard Pay got in there. They're taking the earned income tax credit and broadening the eligibility so more essential workers qualify for the money and giving them more money. A huge win for this channel, as this channel was the #1 place for advocacy of Hazard Pay, making a video every day in 2020, nearly 300 videos advocating for Hazard Pay. Next, up to $4,000 a year to care for an elderly senior at home. Then up to $4,000 a year to care for a young child. They got money in there to fix up the home. Yes, if you live in a low-income community, there'll be free checks to repair the home. College students are getting grants to the university, to themselves, and also the Pell's grant made tax-free. $51,000 of monthly stimulus checks got in there. It's the CTC, the Child Tax Credit, broadened the eligibility and extended the payments. First, they made non-biological parents now qualify for the money, and then they expanded the money lifetime. How much does it pay? Up to $300 every month, every year, up to 18 years per child, which is $51,000, while that household remains a low-income household. Wow. Then they got money in there for bikes, cars, and trucks, all electric, all U.S. auto manufactured. First, up to 15% for the purchase of a new electric bike. Then, up to $7,500 for the purchase of a new electric vehicle for personal use. A little bit more for business use. And then a new electric truck in there as well. In a second, we'll go over cluster number 2 checks passed, 3 checks, and then those IRS checks. But first, let's take a detour for a blink of an eye to third stimulus. An additional $13 billion is landing in your cities, counties, and states for rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance. Treasury made the incredible statement just a few days ago. Treasury is happy to provide the state and local governments with these additional programs to these people in time of need. Stay the final 15 minutes of this video. I'm going to show you how you get this big money. And if you're a member of this channel, which I hope you are, the link is under the video, you already have a copy of that news statement from Treasury. All right, time for some more checks. Cluster number 2's checks passed. And the first one is paid family leave and paid medical leave. There's a lot. Under third stimulus, it was $1,700 a week. Yes, a week. If you make $70,000 or more per year. Split in half, that would be $800 a week if you made $35,000 a year. And then if you make $15,000 a year annual salary, it's $400 a week. Paid family leave, you have to stay home because your wife is pregnant. Paid medical leave, you have to stay home because your son broke his leg. Remember, forced stimulus has nothing to do with COVID, so it's not COVID-related issues. It's money for all walks of life. It's nationwide, red, blue, every state, so this is deliciousness. There's no less than 11 checks in the second cluster, like checks for child care programs, checks for household tax credits, checks for seniors, like dental, vision, hearing, and lowering Medicare eligibility age. And then they got checks in there to weatherize your home. Definitely need to weatherize your home if the moderate Democrats are on the roof. The moderate Democrats are trying to get in the house. Don't let them in the house, Nancy. Lock the door. There you go. Then they got universal pre-kindergarten, and they got tuition-free community college. Definitely needed to take that free community college class, because there's always someone that says, what the world are you saying? 101. Yeah, now you can take that class to figure out what foreign language am I speaking. It's a foreign language class. They offer it at community college. It's called Los Angeles. That'll be free to take. In a second, we're going to go over the third cluster checks that pass, and boy, they are great. But first, what is Congress doing? Well, this is what happened on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. On Thursday, the progressives protecting your recon blocked the roads and bridges from going to a vote. On Friday, they blocked it again. Then, Friday afternoon, the president coming out emphatically to a private meeting of House Democrats and Senate Democrats he summoned. And he said, there will be no vote under my watch for the roads and bridges anytime until you agree upon the recon. I know, and I'm going to address it later in this video, stay the final 15 minutes of the video, as Nancy Pelosi talked a little bit about dates for that recon on Saturday. Very, very peculiar for the roads and bridges. Very, very peculiar, because by Sunday, the White House was already walking it back. That was not something that was a firm date. Let's make it very clear. And by Sunday, the White House said, there is no date. I'll have all those incredible details. I'll also go over why the progressives say nothing. Repeat, nothing is coming out of the recon. It's great news. But first, let's turn to the third cluster checks, and they got those in there. These are huge. Deliciousness. There's free school meals for all checks, checks for cheaper prescription medication, checks for farmers, checks for clean energy, checks for free internet, checks for workers like independent contractors, checks for seniors like dental, vision, hearing, and lowering the eligibility age for Medicare. The president and myself particularly like the third cluster. It's his cluster because the checks have instant savings to you. Let's say, for example, you go to the pharmacist today to pay for a prescription, and you walk in the door and say, "Hi, Mr. Pharmacist, I have a headache." "Oh, you do? I'm so sorry. Listening to the moderate Democrats too much?" "Yes, how'd you know?" "Do you have a solution for that, Mr. Pharmacist?" "Yes, the midterm elections." "No, I mean a prescription." "I need a prescription." "Yeah, here you go." And then you pay for the prescription, two $20 bills out of your wallet. Then after this becomes law and you go back to refill the prescription because they're still in Congress, and you still have a headache from hearing from them, then when you go to refill the prescription, you may only have to take one $20 bill out of your wallet, an instant savings of $20 to you. Then they're going to offer free internet. Free internet offered across the board. Cities and counties, states, red, blue, rich, poor. Even Arizona, where they probably should, not allow someone to connect to the internet ever. So they're going to offer free internet. So all you have to do is say, "What's the username and password?" The username is DC Reese, and the password is Goth Gang. Go away. There you go. In the second half of this video, we got a lot coming up. I'm going to have the comments from Bernie, AOC, Jalapal, and the president's cabinet member talking about the recon. But the one that's going to be the big one you're going to listen to is Sheila Jackson. I'm going to introduce you to her. Her comments are mind-blowing. They're wonderful. They are so insightful. You're going to see what she's going to teach us in her comments from Saturday. Then we'll be going over the big exciting details, as now this channel and you are part of the equation for passing the recon. But now it's time to talk about those IRS monthly stimulus checks. The great news is that over the last 8 weeks, no less than 1,000 viewers of this channel have been told by the Democrat caucus members, Senate and House members, that they're inserting a monthly stimulus check provision in there. Well, all last week, those senators and House members reassured viewers again. In fact, as the vote was looming for the roads and bridges, Donnie's wife got Chuck Schumer's office staff in D.C. on the phone, and Schumer's office confirmed again that he is inserting an IRS stimulus check provision. Sanders' office confirmed it 3 times to viewers last week, and then AOC, Omar, and Jalapal's confirmed as well. It's important to understand that the night that they passed that recon in the House Budget Committee, led by the second in command of the Progressive Caucus, Sheila Jackson, they said it's not a bill, it's a work in progress. So if you want to add stuff to it, you can add stuff to it. Pelosi said that. The president said that. And last week they said as well. Ironically, it was Pelosi who made the same message going into the weekend, where she said that she will add in that IRS stimulus check provision in there to viewers of this channel, including Mark. I'll have more about these incredible details and more. We'll be going over the big exclusive of this channel and the recon. We'll go over what Sheila Jackson explained, how the recon will get modified with nothing, repeat, nothing taken out of the recon, but stuff potentially added. Those details and more as we continue on a big morning's LALATE. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as the coffee's brewing and the news is still percolating. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues live from Santa Monica as Mornings LA continues with big updates about your fourth stimulus check of 2021. It's going to be a big week, folks, because in this recording, we're going to go over that big exclusive as now you, this channel, and me are part of the equation about getting that recon over the finish line, says the top progressive on Capitol Hill. Then we'll be going over what the progressives are doing with that recon this week, the latest details, and the explanation of how they modify things. Then we go to the big exciting details of what's unfolding with third stimulus, and then what unfolded last week and why that signals great news going forward. Those details and more on a big day, and I'm excited you're here because we're just getting started with a whole slate of programming throughout the day, so subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of the channel. You know what? The news cycle is going to change on the hour by the hour this week as well. News is moving very quickly this week as well, so don't think that it ain't. I want you to stay with me. I'm next back with you with Mornings Crypto at 10 a.m. live on air, and then noontime at 11 a.m. So subscribe, like the video, and consider becoming a member. Let's cut to the big exciting details that unfolded over the weekend and is far from over as we start a new week. Over the weekend, this channel learned from one of its viewers that Bernie Sanders' top aide in D.C. reports that you, this channel, me, and these recordings are now critical and very important for the passage of that recon. Let me explain what's going on. It was 8 weeks ago when I told viewers of this channel to start advocating for the inclusion of a stimulus check. And then 3 weeks ago, I specifically said to pick up the phone and call Bernie Sanders' office after Brother Joshua had called Sanders' office, advocated for a stimulus check provision. And Sanders' office said yes, but needs to hear from you. At that time, I told viewers, pick up the phones and call Bernie Sanders and call the other senators and advocate why your story is unique, why you particularly need stimulus, what's unique to your family, your town, your church, your business, what's your particular story. And I said if you flood those offices with all your advocacy, saying you're from LALATE, they will take note and they will start talking amongst themselves. Have you been getting those phone calls? I said that would happen. Guess what? It's happened. A top aide to Bernie Sanders' office in D.C. reports to one of his viewers of this channel that Sanders' office got so many phone calls from LALATE viewers that are so professional, so respectful, and so moving, advocating about their particular story of that was unique to themselves of why they need stimulus, that Sanders' office is now keeping track of your messages, voice messages, voicemails, messages with staffers, and then emails, and keeping a log of them to show those logs that this is the face of the American people advocating for these items. And that is why you should have these items in there. Remember when I told you Bernie needs to hear from you? Well, it was a little bit even more elaborate, that he needed to hear from you to show it to people that may think that Americans don't want these things. It's important to understand what LALATE is. LALATE's a news channel. It's not a political channel. It's not Republican. It's not Democrat. I have viewers who are Republican advocating for the inclusion of these stimulus. I have viewers who are Democrats advocating for the inclusion of the stimulus. I have viewers in red states like Texas and Florida advocating for this inclusion. I have viewers in blue states like California and New York advocating for the inclusion of the stimulus. We have viewers of all different walks of life advocating for the stimulus. And that's exactly why Sanders, Schumer, Warren are keeping track of your messages to show it to moderate Democrats and the president to say, hey, here is what LALATE is doing. These viewers represent America and that they want that stimulus. And if you think they don't want it, they really want it. Listen and look at all these incredible thousands of messages that are coming in from LA's viewers that are all across the political landscape. If you are a viewer and you're in Arizona, if you're a viewer and you're in West Virginia, and you've advocated before, but you didn't tell the person you're advocating to that you're in those states, call again. If you've never made the phone call, but you are in those two states of Arizona and West Virginia, and you're listening to this recording and you want this stimulus, pick up the phone and say, I'm an LA viewer, I'm in Arizona, I'm in West Virginia, and I need it because This is what's going on with my husband. This is what's going on with my daughter. This is going on with my church, my business. I got to tell you why I need it. It's consistent with something that was said over the weekend by a pollster who's actually formerly Bernie Sanders pollster. His name is Ben Tolchin, and he said in a comment that the way Obama used to do it is the way that Biden should do it, which is go to the residents of Arizona and say, do you want this? Well, if you do want this, tell the senator, your senator, Kristen Sinema, you want it. That's exactly what LALATE is doing. I have viewers in red states saying, I want it. I have viewers up in blue states saying, I want it. And that is what they're doing across the board. So pick up that phone and advocate. Now let's go over to those stimulus checks a little bit more, and then we'll go over what happened Saturday and Sunday for the recon and what's coming on this week for the recon. It was 8 weeks ago I said pick up the phone and advocate for the inclusion of a stimulus check in that recon, monthly stimulus check IRS. And WR picked up the phone and advocated, saying why his family, his church, his community needs that stimulus. He called Chris Coons, Democrat, Delaware, Joe Biden's oldest confidant. And Coons' office said, yes, I'm inserting that provision in that stimulus check. And then 3 weeks ago, you saw this channel really change overnight. A lot of exclusives only on this channel. A lot of breaking news on the hour, by the hour. For example, I delivered the exclusive that I believe that the House would be writing the legislation of the recon. We're now right. It was written by Sheila Jackson, the vice chair of the Progressive Caucus, by House members, and passed in that House Budget Committee. Number 2, I told you the House would vote first, and they are going to vote first. Number 3, I told you Bernie was critical to the equation. He is. And that week he said a pivotal quote which changed this landscape. He said, unlike prior budget chairmen on the Senate side, I like to get out amongst the people when doing a recon. I said, if you listen to those words, he's saying, I want to hear from you. And I said, pick up the phone and advocate. Pick up the phone and call Bernie Sanders, I said 3 weeks ago. And Brother Joshua did, Lynn Glenn and Margaret did. They advocated. Now, what is advocacy? Advocacy involves telling your story because everyone has a very different, unique story. I've shown you one viewer named Margaret, a different Margaret, who picked up the phone and called a senator's staff, broke down in tears when she explained her story. I showed you another viewer who lost her husband during the pandemic, had 10 surgeries, and is raising 2 teenage daughters on just an SSI-DI check. That was her story of advocacy. That's what Brother Joshua did. Told what was unique to himself, his family, his church, and allied viewers. And Bernie Sanders' office said, yes, $1,000 to $1,300, 3 to 6 months, but I need to hear from you. That was the message I said every recording over the last 3 weeks. And now we understand why that was such an important line to be said. Let's look at the advocacy that came in after Brother Joshua. You're going to look at some screen grabs written by viewers either in the live chat or in private messages on social media. Here's Donnie. You met Donnie's wife earlier with Chuck Schumer. Here's Donnie himself. I called Bernie Sanders and his secretary. I said, and they said they're doing a forced stimulus check. I said, my city needs it. I need it for my water bill and everything. And they said they're doing it. Hurricane Tina picking up the phone and advocating to Bernie's office and writing, they're doing it. Here comes Carolyn writing, I called Bernie Sanders' office. People are losing their homes. I explained to them. And they agreed, Bernie's doing it. Here's Yaya writing, I called Ron Wyden's office. They're doing it for stimulus. Their SSI, SS200, they're going to do it as promised. Then advocacy took another level when we understood the importance of making multiple calls. This is Will. He called Bernie, Chuck, and Liz Warren all in the same day, their offices. And all 3 of their secretaries confirmed the inclusion of a stimulus check. As to Liz Warren, he said her office said $1,400 to $2,000, 6 to 12 months. Here's Ulrika, what she wrote about that inclusion of that stimulus check. She writes she got Bob Casey's office on the phone, and they're in negotiations now for the amount of the check. At that point, 1,000 plus viewers had gotten confirmation of the inclusion of that IRS stimulus check from the senators. Those senators, Coons, Sanders, Warren, Schumer, Casey, Wyden. But I said we had not reached out enough yet to the House members. And I said, reach out to them. AOC, Jalapal, Omar, Pelosi. I now add Sheila Jackson to that list. And that is what Janice did. Janice picked up the phone and called Jalapal. She also called Omar. I believe she's in the live chat right now. And this is what Janice wrote. I called Jalapal, and they said they're doing a forced stimulus check. Advocacy continued to come on in. Here's Mark, what he wrote about his conversation with Pelosi's staff. Her staff told me there would be a forced stimulus check, $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter, and it would run 6 to 12 months. The messages kept on coming on in. Here is Ida. Got off the phone with Omar, she wrote. They said they're doing it. And here is Lynn Glenn. I called Jalapal's office, and they said yes. That's the face of advocacy. Advocacy gets you those type of things, and that's why you need to pick up the phone and advocate. Meantime, what did the president say about his advocacy for the recon? Let's go over all the incredible details of that, starting right now. It was back in July that we only really had one bill. The recon and the roads and bridges were together in one bill. But the moderate Democrats said, no, you need to split it apart. So the president made a concession, split them in two. One is the recon, your money, and the other one is the roads and bridges, also called infrastructure, also called bipartisan. Well, the president splitting them up said, I'm going to make a deal with you, though. We're going to do two paths at the same, we're going to do the two bills at the same time. We're going to vote on them at the same time, and they have to land in the White House on my desk to sign at the same time. Don't do one without the other. And that was the promise. All last week, the moderate Democrats didn't keep that promise. In fact, they had hustled Nancy Pelosi in the month of July to get the roads and bridges for a vote only last Thursday. And what happened throughout the week? The moderates were really just trash talking the progressives day in, day out. So finally, by the 11th hour, the progressives had polled themselves and saw there was somewhere between 60 to 100 progressives ready to vote against the roads and bridges. Liz Warren, who's a senator, not a House member, and Bernie Sanders, also a senator, not a House member, telling the House members, make sure you vote down that roads and bridges, because this was not the promise. The promise was they're to be done together at the same time. And as we approached 9 o'clock on a Thursday night, the vote was about to happen, and it doesn't happen. Then at 10 o'clock was supposed to happen. It didn't happen. And finally, the progressives won. Your recon won. The roads and bridges didn't go for a vote, blocked by the progressives because the moderate Democrats had broken their promise. Then Friday started, and I said, I don't think it's going to go for a vote. I think it's going to get blocked again. It does get blocked again by the progressives. A second win for you. The third win came Friday afternoon as the president summons the House members and the senators to the White House for private separate meetings. And in that meeting, he says absolutely categorically no vote on the roads and bridges anytime until you agree upon the recon. He said, I specifically understood that she tried to get Pelosi to do roads and bridges a single vote. That ain't happening on my watch. So there will be no vote on the roads and bridges by itself on my watch. You must do both of them together. Now, this is huge because the president was going back to his original promise, which was to do both of them together. Now, let's go over all the comments from Saturday and Sunday. The Saturday is the Sheila Jackson comment, which I'm going to go over last because it's the best of all of them. But I'm going to go over the Sunday ones first. I know you saw that Pelosi Sunday comment. I'm going to go over AOC, Jalapal, Bernie, and the president's comments from Sunday. Early Sunday, or it may have been actually Saturday, Pelosi issued a written statement that is hideously vague, intentionally vague, that makes it look like the roads and bridges vote is by Halloween. That's not what the letter says, but let me make it even clearer. Saturday, the president's asked again, is there any timeline for voting? He said, there is no timeline. Don't ask me about timeline. There is no timeline. Guess what? Sunday, they asked his staffers about the Pelosi comment. They said, no, we're walking that back. There is no timeline. Don't misinterpret what she's saying in that letter. In fact, she doesn't say there is a timeline, but you can clearly get confused by reading and think that she's saying there's a timeline for roads and bridges. No. The White House comes out with full regard on Sunday with the following comments. Let's go over all these incredible comments that happened on Sunday. First, the president put its cabinet members on Sunday Morning News, and that cabinet member was Cedric Redmond. He said, we do not have a time frame on it. So he just wanted to make it very clear, there is no time frame. So he walked back those Pelosi comments. Number two, Bernie Sanders says there is no time frame at a well. This is a big deal, and we need to address the issues at hand. Then Jalapal was asked about more substantive issues. She was asked about price tag of the recon, and she said the president told us don't think about the price tag, the number. Think about what think about the programs. And that's what's coming, and that's what we're doing. We're thinking about the programs. Then AOC said progressives have had to skin this cat 9 different ways, but moderates are not really coming to the table. And AOC actually said, and she's right, the moderates have unfortunately been mislabeled during this process because a lot of moderates are in favor of this recon. It's just a few moderates, and it's not all moderates. And so then let me tell you what Sheila Jackson said on Saturday. Sheila Jackson is the vice chair of the Progressive Caucus under Jalopal. She's also the lead author of the recon that passed on the House. The way she explains what's going to happen going forward is so clear and brilliant. I want to explain it to you slowly because it's absolutely important. I want you to understand it. She says the recon is made up of programs. For example, 15% for the electric bike, $4,000 to care for the elderly, the hazard pay. These are different programs. She says 100% guaranteed no program is being removed from the recon ever. Those programs we've already passed. They're not coming out. What will get changed is how to pay for the program with a corporate tax and a billionaire tax. That is what's going to get modified. The taxing implications that pay for the programs. Let me go a little slower. 15% for the new electric bike? Yeah. Is it? That's what it currently is in the recon pass. Is it getting taken out? No. Is it getting modified to 20% or 10%? No. What's getting modified? The corporate tax and how they're writing the corporate tax number to tax this type of corporation or this tax on the billionaire to pay for the 15% for the electric bike. That's what's getting changed, not the 15% on the bike, not the program at all, not the price tag of the program. So let's repeat. No programs in this recon are getting removed, and none of the monies that are being paid to you for the programs are getting changed. It's how they tax to pay for the programs that will get changed. Now, here's another way to think about it. In July, I told you that Bernie Sanders went to negotiations to do the recon. He asked for $7 trillion, and he got $3.5 trillion. Notice that's exactly half. 3.5 is half the number of 7. And he said he was ecstatic because he got all his programs 100% paid for at exactly what he wanted. Well, wait a second. How do you get 100% paid for it if it's half the amount of money? You know how? Instead of doing the program for 20 years, we do it for 10 years. Instead of doing it for 30 years, we do it for 15 years. Here's an example. He didn't go in there asking for 30% for an electric bike and agreed to 15% for electric bike. He, for example, did 15% of the electric bike, I want it for 20 years. And then he agreed to do 15% of the electric bike for 10 years. Meaning, if you want to buy an electric bike and get this 15%, you have to buy it in the next 10 years instead of in the next 20 years. You're going to get the same amount of money over the next decade, and you're going to get all the same programs over the next decade. It was just that he broadened the time horizon and brought it in. Again, Sheila Jackson's comments is that each program is like a loaf, and they're not going to do half of a loaf. They're doing the full loaf, and they'll never change in that position. What they're doing is they're going to change how to pay for the loaf, and that payment is the corporate tax rates and the corporate tax implications and the billionaire tax implications, rich person taxes. There you go. Let's cut over to third stimulus and those exciting details about third stimulus. This comes out of really a left field with exciting details, an additional $13 billion cities, counties, and states for rent and utilities. Wow. This is a big one. Get a pen, paper, cell phone ready because I want you to get this big money for rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance. I'm going to show you 6 places to reach out to. Reach out to all 6. Number 2, I'm going to show you each place has different pots of money and different eligibility. Number 2, I'm going to show you some keywords, list those keywords. And finally, the nonprofits. Let's first look at the monies. The rent has gone up 200% in a month. Here is what the rent looked like last month. Viewers are now getting $40,000 of rent. When you looked at the utilities, it was this. Now it's gone to $15,000. And then the money for SNAP was this. And now SNAP has gone to $21,000. So get that pen, paper, cell phone ready. I'm going to go over those 6 places you get this money right now. Here you go. City Hall, City House Authority. County Hall, County House Authority, State Hall, and State House Authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. Now, I want you to, as a member, I hope you are, if you aren't, there's a link under the video, open the newsletter, and in that newsletter, you're going to see a link to the Treasury statement about the $13 billion. I want you to read that so you know what it is. Before you call up, you are informed what this money is because it's going to land everywhere, city, counties, and states, and I want you to know how to ask for it. If they don't have it yet, they will be having it, red, blue, everywhere. Ask to be on the waiting list, ask to call back the next day. Then, utility companies, if you got 5, reach out to all 5. And 5 of the nonprofits, wow. It's important to understand that the nonprofits pay for all the same items on the third stimulus, basically. If you're having an eligibility issue from where your city and county, lean on the nonprofits. Here are the 5 nonprofits: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, St. Vincent de Paul. The other thing about the nonprofits is they pay for some items not in third stimulus, like homeless people in the shelter sometimes money for food, clothing, and small appliances. Two viewers got refrigerators, one got a furnace, and one got his window fixed. Here again are the 5 nonprofits: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. They're also featured in the newsletter. Also, Salvation Army is doing the holiday gifts now in the month of October. Time for SNAP. You ready for SNAP? Wow. Department of Agriculture is raising everyone's benefits up an average of 25% lifetime automatically now in the month of October. This is huge. I know you got the letter in September. It's going down. There's a second letter because everyone's benefits are going up lifetime automatically in October. Finally, the 2 unemployment benefits from the state and from the federal government. Overpayment due to computer error from your state? Yes, that check is coming back. Average payment is at $2,000 to $5,000. And then the 2020 unemployment benefits you paid taxes on to IRS. Yes, you're getting back that check anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000. Margaret got it, Todd got it, Michael got it. You can go to irs.gov to track it. Finally, if you're on the live chat and you got any of these sums of money, post your success stories right now. And finally, if you've not become a member, what are you doing? Become a member today. The member link is under the video. Members are delivered daily from me to them, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The LALATE newsletter, written by me. It's delivered by the YouTube member alert system and the LALATE alert system. It's incredible because it features all the big money under first, second, and third stimulus that you can get, and now is upgraded to include the nonprofits and also the Treasury statement. It's important that you get these big sums of money because they're likely not to be continued under forced stimulus. Finally, make yourself 3 promises this week. Promise number 1, advocate. Pick up that phone and advocate to those Democrat progressives. But first, before you call, think about what you're going to say. Sanders' office was very clear that you've been very, very respectful and very, very insightful and very moving in your message. Think about what you're going to say before you make the phone call. What's unique to your situation? Why should you get this money? What's going on with your family, your church, your town? Understand what your story is before you make the phone call, if you're leaving a voice message or whatever it is. Make as many calls as you can. Senators, Sanders, Warren, Schumer. Also, the House members. AOC, Jolipal, Sheila Jackson, I'm going to add to the list. Omar, Pelosi. Make as many phone calls as you can. If you have the opportunity later this week, make more phone calls then as well. Always start by saying what state you're from so they know what state you are from, and in case you're an LA viewer. And also, if you're in Arizona and West Virginia, certainly make the phone call. And if you're in a red state, certainly make that phone call. Next, I want you to get as much money as you can under third stimulus. This is huge amounts of money. And this money may not get repeated under fourth stimulus. We may not see rent or utilities again under fourth stimulus. Number 3, lean on the nonprofits. It was 80 degrees yesterday here in LA. It's still relatively not that cold in most of the country. The nonprofits are not getting a lot of phone calls yet, so their turnaround times are very fast. Viewers have reported big success and big turnaround times of less than a day from St. Vincent de Paul on rent and also United Way. Make that phone call now. Don't wait till late October when it's cold, heating oil bills start kicking in, and people start making and flooding those phone banks for the nonprofits. Make the phone call now when they have less calls coming on in. And with that, we go into the final recap of what's going on today. So much across the board, and let's understand what's at issue. What's at issue is the recon $3.5 trillion pass a House Budget Committee. All those programs got in there, and then those Democrats also represent they're adding in that IRS stimulus check. Jalapal and Sheila Jackson, and certainly Bernie as well, also confirm since Friday, none of the programs in the recon are coming out. No loaf, aka a program, is going to become a half a loaf. No program is going to get paid with, no program is going to have half the amount of money. You're not going to see a bike go from 15% for a bike to 5% for a bike. Or $4,000 a care for an elderly is not going to go to $2,000 a care for an elderly. The numbers and the programs are going to stay the same. What they're doing is modifying the tax provisions on the back end, how to pay for them with corporate and billionaire tax. That's what they're modifying, not your money. Advocacy is really a big issue. Throughout this week, I fully expect the moderate Democrats to really trash talk the progressives again. So if you see something sort of negative that comes in from a moderate Democrat, sort of brush it off. It's just sort of par for the course. And it's a work in progress. We have a big news cycle where things are changing by the hour and upon the hour. So join me next with Noontime LA at 11 a.m. Subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button. See you at noontime at 11 a.m. But next up is Mornings Crypto at 10 a.m. with big developing details about crypto. And then join me this afternoon with the 2 afternoon shows and then Evenings LA at 5 p.m. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful day. Keep it positive, keep it informed, and keep on smiling. And thank you for joining me for Mornings LA.